What did you think about the BET Hip Hop Awards?
Same thing that I usually think, Mike. I didn't think much of it, but go ahead.
I think, I wanted to do a good, the bad, the ugly. I think it was good, if not to great, when Clips went out there and did grinding. That was awesome. I loved the set when we saw DJ Paul, Juicy J, and Project Pat out there. And I loved Wu Tang coming out there, man. When I hear Wu Tang music, man, it reminds me.
It's different.
It reminds me of why I love this shit so much.
It's different.
You know what I'm saying? It's different,
You know
man.
what you said. Like, remember when you were always like, when Dre come through, it's different. It's different when Wu Tang comes through, Mike.
It is, man. I
It's
love those
different when Wu
guys.
Tang comes through. Like when they come through, and it's like their energy is there, and it's like it's still most of the clan. God rest, dirty, but like Mike, it's something else.
That music
It's something
lives
else.
on.
The same way, but Mike, it's something else because here's the reality of the matter. It was always something else. Like first of all, you named the only three great parts of the show. Really, you just named them.
Well,
We can
somebody
stop the
said Joey
show.
Badass did a good job. He did.
Okay, I said you named the three great parts of the show. You want to
Eric
get to the
Terrell
great
with the
parts
super
of the
chat
show?
says Jeezy is old news. She's $1 short and a day late.
Good Lord.
True.
True and disrespectful all at the same time.
I mean, it's just real. It's
It
not.
just is what it is.
I remember.
Who's better off getting chains to come down to the trap house or something?
So
Chains
I
to
got I
consider.
got Russell Wilson on my fantasy team, right? And I
I'm
made this
sorry to hear that.
exactly. I made this post about him being washed, and and wifey comes to me like, man, why you always getting on Russell Wilson? Blah blah blah. He's a good dude. It's not personal. Anybody could get washed. It's not personal. He's probably a good guy, but you washed. Same thing with the Jeezy thing. Like, he's right. Nobody's listening to Jeezy right now. Like, and it's not a bad thing. It's not disrespectful. It's just the truth. You talk about the Migos not having hits? Where his at? He don't put out.
There,
He don't put out like 5 projects, maybe 6.
there,
Nothing. After the
there.
biggest verses numerically that they had, he put an album out the next day. Nothing. Just is what it is. But his verse on the ESTG record, GST. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. His verse on the record yesterday,
ESTG.
yeah, ESTG. That's it. I mean, that's the verse that everybody's talking about, and I think that was one of the. You think that was one of the better performances, possibly?
In relationship to what?
Well, not in relationship to Wu Tang.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna be unpopular because I done went through the good. There's no nice way to say this. I just don't think that Trina getting a lifetime achievement award is. I always thought Trina was whack, in my personal opinion, as a rapper.
Whoa.
I did. Am I
But can
wrong?
I
Am I wrong for saying that?
tell I
You thought?
like her voice.
Let me flip it on you. You thought Trina was nice?
I didn't think that she was nice.
Because
I
we
thought she
went
was
through a
solid.
whole conversation about female MCs and we never mentioned Trina for a reason.
She's just, I mean, so let me be totally forthright, Mike.
Okay.
I literally got home last night as she was walking on the stage to accept her award. So that was the first part of the award show that I actually saw live. And so my first reaction is, what in the fuck is going on? And out of respect for her, because I do like Trina. I don't
Yeah.
love her. I like her, and I love her voice. She's always had like a cute little sexy voice to me. I love her voice. But
From a talent standpoint, though, it's
right,
like,
if we're being objective, Mike, and not just being like
yeah.
teenage nostalgic me, it's like I was like, what the fuck going on here? And I watched her speech, and Mike, and I had it on record, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna need to pause before I go back and watch the rest of this before I go to bed tonight.
Without going to Google, how many Trina albums can you name?
The baddest bitch, Mike, and Diamond Princess.
Yep. That's where I'm at, too. Andrew
Those
Green
are
with
the
the
only
super.
ones that I needed to listen to. I mean, that's all I got.
Andrew Green with the super chat says, I'm late, but dope battle, fellas. The best yet. I had Mike winning 11-10. Queens get the money. Coop came with some haymakers, though. Shout out to you. Shout out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, it was fun.
I mean, I'm just gonna be real. I just think that I mean, I don't know who all has gotten a Lifetime Achievement Award from the BET Hip Hop Awards, but I remember Rakim got it a couple of years ago. And so it's like, that's a big jump from Rakim to Trina. I just feel like, do you think that, and this might be an unpopular opinion to some, but is the Brat not deserving of something like that before Trina?
Well, my thought process was, well, how did we get to Trina and who did we skip?
Exactly. That was my thought process too.
Because can I tell you something? Oh, I mean, we don't even have to go to the Brat. I mean, I immediately thought to myself, well, what about Foxy?
This is we've already covered the Foxy thing. They're trying to erase Foxy Brown out of the
They're
hip
trying
hop
to erase
lexicon.
Foxy. That's
Yeah,
why I keep no. That's why I keep bringing it up.
yeah.
They're trying to act like Foxy Brown didn't exist. Yes, she did.
This is what I
Mike,
will
has,
say.
has MC Light received this award?
I don't know. Can y'all
Queen
tell us in the
Latifah received this
chat
award?
who? I'm sure y'all got your Googles up in the
Roxanne
chat.
Shante?
I don't know. Tell us
Yo,
who
yo.
who
Mike,
has received the I Am
think
Hip
about
Hop
this.
Award last year, the year before, and the year before that. I want to know who received it
I'm,
over the past 4 or 5 years.
I mean, I want you to think about MC Light, Yo Yo, and Queen Latifah's contributions as women who started in hip hop and what they have delved into, specifically if you want to go media with MC Light and Yo Yo. Think about what they've done just media wise to stay on the music side of things career wise. Isn't that like more noteworthy than Trina? Because like these are women that not only were better than her as MCs and album makers and all-time hit makers, but also delved into more. And so I want to know how we got to, and this is not to slight Trina because I do like Trina. I just
Well,
want to get
for
into the
that, you
rationale.
didn't see the voting video. This is why I'm giving Trina that smoke. Sorry.
See the what?
The voting video that she did. Somebody actually just super chatted about it. Trey Mo says, "Did y'all see the new Trina video about voting?" Yes, we did.
Do I
Well,
really need to
did.
watch it? Okay, I need to watch it.
You need to
All right.
watch it. Jay Short says, "Trina was the male version of Jeezy. It was an attitude that she represented. She wasn't for the fellas." And I think that to piggyback on that, I will say this: if you look at City Girls, you look at Glorilla, all of that, you could tell that the current mainstream females in rap are very Trina inspired, or at least you could possibly trace them to the Trina lineage. So maybe that's why she's getting this. Are
No, go ahead.
you listening to it now?
Yeah, go ahead. Do this.
Yeah, yeah. Coop's gonna go listen to this voting video that Trina just did. But no, how many albums can y'all name? Somebody said Foxy was on some BS too. I know MC Light is covered. Yeah, she's hosted the awards, but who has actually gotten the I Am Hip Hop Award before Trina? Again, I know it's an unpopular opinion. Yeah, Latifah got it in 2021. I remember that. So when did Rakim get it? Was that 2020 or was that 2019? Diddy was the BET Awards. I know it gets confusing because they got so many award shows. Am I tripping though? I mean, do y'all have a favorite Trina song? I mean, is Trina on your playlist? You got a top 3 Trina joint? AK's and Curtin says, Coop, don't watch it. No, he has to watch it to get the whole scope of this conversation. And again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying with the Jeezy thing. I just hate when rappers or MCs, artists put themselves in the ring with politicians, because now she got to stand on that. And whoever put them up to this is in the win. I think Trina's heard it. Has Salt and Pepper received that award yet? I don't know. Again, I think the Brat being the first female to go platinum, you saw it?
That's awful.
So yeah.
That's awful.
So yeah, I was going to just leave that part out of the show and just not say anything about the fact that I'm just not a fan of, Trina like that. But after that, I was like, nah, let me just be honest out here.
I told you, Be Alright is dope. The Kanye joint with Luda.
Let's be real about Be Alright. That's about Luda. It is. It is. I mean, what's your favorite Trina verse? Does anybody have a favorite Trina verse?
I don't want to disparage her because it's already bad enough that we have to address it because they're wrong for picking her.
Okay, I'll just leave it there.
Right.
But again, you know,
Because how about this? What is she supposed to do? Say no?
no, you gotta get it how you live. I feel that.
Right. And so she's the one that gets put in this unfortunate position of having to get critiqued and criticized by us because, you know, she probably isn't deserving of it. And so that's why it's like, well, I want to just not really focus on her, but focus on the rationale of thought that led to the decision to choose her.
I like her verse on "Take It to the House."
Okay.
Let's be positive here. Since we've already given our opinion, I'll be positive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked her verse on "Take It to the House," and I think that "Pull Over" might have been my favorite Trina song. I thought it was her best song.
I can see how you feel that way.
Yeah, but yeah, the baddest was the baddest and Diamond's Princess is the ones I remembered.
Yeah, that's all I really remember
But
like that.
I do think that one of the justifications for her getting the award is the fact that you really do see her image in the current female MCs out there. But the thing is, what kind of credit does Kim get now?
Right. Not being funny. It's like, well, if you mean she's all over the game in terms of like we got a lot of like mid-level exception types chicks with not a bunch of talent but a lot of great looks, then like yeah. Because here was the thing, and I don't care what people say. It's like, I mean, Mike, you remember when Lil Kim was like naturally fine and was rhyming her ass off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, like Lauryn Hill, like Yo Yo, like these are good looking women. Like you know what I'm saying? Like Yo Yo was fine, Mike.
yeah,
Like still is fine, but I
yeah.
mean, you know what I'm
Wonderful
saying?
woman.
Like
Shout out
like
to Yo Yo, man. Gave me an interview
she did,
off
Mike. I was
GP,
so
man.
jealous. I was watching the interview live. I was like, that's Yo Yo.
Yo Yo was cool as hell. Eric Terrell with the super chat says Trina is a branch on Kim's tree. Just an opinion. That's not an opinion, bro. That's a fact. That's what we call a heavy,
I mean, they
big
all. I
fact.
mean, like that's. This is why I say Lil Kim is the female icon because like she's the real blueprint. Like so that it changed with her. The brat is literally in baggy pants, like dressed like Snoop on the cover of Funkdafied, like a year before you start hearing Kim.
Well, all right. Somebody said
Different
something in the
after
chat
that.
that I thought was
Remember
interesting.
MC Light with Roughneck? That's part of where the brat. I thought the brat's image came more from MC Light and the Roughneck thing than
Somebody
even the
said
Snoop
something
and Biggie
about
thing.
somebody said something about Trina made it okay for strippers to be rappers. Was Trina a stripper? I thought she was a real estate agent.
I mean, and that's what I mean. And when you say stripper too, it's like, I don't know, Mike. It's just like if I did a job for a year or two, and then you know what I'm saying? It's like, is that what I am, or is that how you labeling me? It's like, was her ass on the pole for a year or two, and then like, you know what I mean, with the real estate school for 3 years, and then became a rapper? Because if so, she's really more of a real estate agent than a stripper. You feel what I'm saying?
We're
Like,
getting some spam in the chat. We got some mods that can handle that real quick. I mean, we could say the same thing about people hustling too. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the same conversation for that. But yeah, I don't want to denigrate, and that's not where that's coming from. That's just us being critics of the culture and just talking about, what we saw in the show. Um, Again, I think it's always very difficult to give these kind of awards because hip hop, as young as it is, has a very long history and a long line of people who haven't gotten a certain level of acknowledgement, and it's very difficult to actually pick rightfully. And I think when you try to go for relevance, which TV award shows do because they need ratings, you end up skipping a lot of people who've been skipped over for years. And I don't know, man. It just seems to me, because I think last year was Queen Latifah, which is well deserved. I think that Queen Latifah's legacy is still understated.
yeah,
And man,
she's.
the
I mean,
spam is killing us. But I
right.
think that that's a big jump from Queen Latifah one year and Trina the next. Not saying that she can't get
No,
it.
there's levels to
Just
this, and
not
it's
might
not the
not have
same
been the
level.
year for her. Does Salt and Pepper have this honor? I don't know.
There's I'm talking more about the level. There's supposed to be levels to this, and I just feel like it's like, well, you know, there's so much ground to cover, Mike. I know it can be tough, but when you make a choice like this, and there are so many, in my opinion, blatant choices that probably should have been considered even before her name got thrown in the hat, is what seems like the problem is.
Yeah.
So
Somebody
the
made a
problem's not
statement.
her. But here's also what else I would tell you too, is that I was expecting the speech to be a little better. I was a little disappointed in the speech, just to be perfectly honest with you. She's been in this game for a long time. I was expecting her public speaking for an award so big to be better. Just being totally frank about it.
Yeah.
She's got a wonderful voice still, Mike. I've always loved her. Her voice, like Armani, has a very kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I love Armani's voice.
Mm-hmm. But Trina has a voice like that where it's like you hear the voice and you like the voice. You're like, oh, who that?
Okay, somebody said Nelly won the Icon Award last year. In my opinion, well deserved. I don't even think that Nelly and Trina on the same level, in my opinion. Um, what I was gonna say though, I saw something on Twitter where somebody said something along the lines that Pusha T was the only performer. I think it was Master Ace who said this. Was the only performer at the award show last night that didn't use the vocal track. Did you pick up on that?
No.
What did you think about the performances altogether?
The performances are never that good, Mike, but mostly because
Is
like
that a generational thing? Because it seems like the Wu Tang performance and all that stuff was.
it was,
Is
and
that a
so
get
I'm
off my
gonna.
lawn thing? I don't know.
It's not a get off my lawn thing. It's you want to know what I'm going to tell you. Like my friend Andrew told me on the other podcast on Mirror Music. He was talking about the Gibbs album, and I really want to get into the Gibbs album because he said something that was very, very striking to me, and it made me appreciate the record more. He said Freddie Gibbs is too much, the record too much. He said that's the record. He said that's the record that all these young rappers want to make, but don't know how to make or execute at his level. And when he said it, I was like, woo. I was like, he's right. They make stuff it's good for the mood if you want to turn up right quick, but it doesn't resonate
It's
because
interesting.
they're trying to kick like Mike, like when you go kick hood struggle music, it's like, well, it helps if you're from a hood and really come from a struggle. And we'll talk about this even with Yasin and Talib. Well, it's like, well, when you're on at like 15, 16, 17 years old, Mike,
Yeah, you're right.
you feel me?
Yeah, that's
Like
different.
When Gibbs is talking about, I used to sleep on an air mattress with my bitch with the pistol right here. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's different when that guy comes out and says rocks on a nigga wrist too much. He's saying it because he's coming from a place of struggle of really having slept on the air mattress. You feel what I'm saying?
I believe in the 10,000 hours theory. I really do. And I think that a lot of, and I don't want to sound like the old guy here, I think a lot of the artists in this generation, hip hop specifically, because I think a lot of the singers are getting it. I feel like in R&B now we have more young musicians than we've had in a very long time. But when
I
it
agree.
comes to the rappers, I don't know if the 10,000 hours has been put in because you're able to blow up so fast and so quickly, and the turnaround that people want you to deliver on is just so rapid. Now, I think what's interesting to me is the fact that I feel like this generation of artists do live performances and tour and do festivals a lot more than the
Yes.
previous era. I just don't understand why they're not the best performers.
I'm going to tell you why.
Well, at least not the best television performers. They may be great live, you know what I'm saying, with their festivals and stuff, but when it comes to television performances, it doesn't translate.
Because they're not properly trained, Mike. Because there's no A&Rs anymore to show people how to really get ready to record properly, to perform properly, how to audit music, like all of these things. We're training and coaching and teaching things. And what you really find, I'm gonna tell you what, like when I'll never forget when I was in the studio with the Yardies one day, and this was just like on some chill shit when they was just making some beats. You know what I'm saying? and I wrote a few bars and freestyled some bars like just for fun. I do not do it anymore at all. Those are the homies, you know what I mean? That's damn near like my second family, you know. And Matt was like, yo, Coop, he's like, you know, these niggas don't even like write anymore or even be ready when they come to the studio with anything. He's like, niggas really wait for the track that they want to hear, that they can vibe to. He's like, and they make up the bars and stuff like right on the spot, don't write it down. He's like, half the time they don't even remember what they said the first time that you said it. So you got to play it back, the tape back to them so they can get it and repeat it to stack it if they say some fly shit. So it's totally like, it's organic in a beautiful way, but it compromises a lot of the integrity and the quality of it because songs like that are blowing up. And so a guy thinks and sees a guy that's blowing up like that down here and is just like, oh, I need to do what my nigga doing. And nobody really puts the time or the effort in, and the craft and the essence of it gets lost. And that's where you lean on a Black Thought or a Yasin and a Talib, because they are taking the time to craft and they deserve respect for it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that there are people like Freddie Gibbs, Mike, who do both exceptionally well.
Mad Max with the super chat says, so I heard K Dot swept all the awards. I didn't watch the awards, so I wouldn't know. But how he won every award, we'll go through that too. He won 6.
Hold on, stop. Kaya said the Yardies, Coop, you be hanging out with the Jamaicans? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Mad Max to the super chat says,
and the Haitians.
It's not a get off my lawn thing, Mike. My generation complains all the time that these guys can't perform. Our best performers are Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole. They have great shows, and they're older. They come from a different school of thought. I compare them to like Kobe in the NBA. When Kobe, around 08, he was still a young man, quote unquote, but he was from a different era. Like,
so this is what I'm trying to say is that like y'all keep trying to say that Drake and Cole and Kendrick is from y'all era. It's like,
nah, that's another era.
I need y'all to back up. Like, I was outside when all them dudes was still like coming out and coming up. So like, no, like I was in my 20s still when those guys were coming up. I'm 41 now.
The best performer in the game, they done got it where he can't even perform no more. Travis Scott. He was the best performer of the generation. And they done tamed his shows.
I told you, Mike. I told you, just take a year off. Don't say nothing.
But the other thing, though, is like, yeah, it's interesting that, I mean, because Kodak had a huge set. But you could just tell that I think, you know what? I think great performances starts with great records. Michael Jackson wouldn't have been able to do Motown 25 without the greatness of a record like a Billie Jean. And I think that what you're talking about, just not having that process in the crafting part of it, is going to affect the stage show.
Right. And so you can get a hit record, but it's not going to stay because they're not building it out to stay. Let's go back to Illmatic again.
I want to go to this real quick because I'm glad you made that point. Who breaks records now? Let me ask you that. When you talk about hit records.
I mean, I still think it's the clubs and the strip clubs. I mean, we're in Atlanta, Mike, so it's like it's forever been the strip club and the clubs down here.
Okay, like, I guess outside of that, I guess like, from an online standpoint.
I was about to say, I don't know about online, because anytime I want to hear something new, Mike, I really just go touch the streets of Atlanta, like literally.
Yeah, the strip club
and I'll ask my homies, I'll be with the Yardies sometimes, I'll be like, who is that?
Yeah.
They'd be like, that's such and such from such and such. I'll be like, oh, okay, who that? Like when it's playing, Mike, like live in the speakers in the club or wherever we at. I'll be like, what's that? Who is that? I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, that shit hard.
Well, a lot of the viral...
They're from the east side. They're from where you from, Coop. And it'd be a bunch of cats.
Well, a lot of the viral hits actually come from, somebody said playlists, Apple Music, and things like that. But a lot of the viral hits kind of come from TikTok, come from Instagram. And we're talking about songs that are being played in a 15 to 30 second increment. Like Erica Banks, her hit jumped off like that. That Bust It. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't even hear the whole song. So you're used to hearing something like on TikTok or hearing it on Instagram. And when you hear the whole song, this song doesn't sound as good as it did in a 30-second increment. And so I think that's problematic too when it comes to the hit-making process. People are out here trying to get people to use their records on TikTok and this and that. I mean, I don't know if you've heard this song. dude, he's like, "You a black girl, you a black girl, you a black girl." And he's just saying that over and over, and people, use it on their TikToks and Instagrams or whatever, but it's not a song. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know how you get back to
We're in a
DJ.
weird place.
We are in a weird place when you talk about hit records, and I think that DJs aren't the people breaking records anymore. They got whole platforms designed to put you in the algorithm so people can actually choose your records for TikTok challenges.
No, this is what I mean about how, like, Mike, I literally just hit Atlanta now. This is what I mean. So you remember how when you and I were on the scene, way back in our day, like, and we would go to the live events and the open mics, and it would be like the crews would already kind of be like, quote unquote, booed up with the judges and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's different than that now, Mike. Like the crews, depending on what zone you in and what side you from, they got their local clubs and sets on lock with their whole clique.
Yeah.
And so you'll pull up to a chit chat in Decatur, like I did one night, where literally my dudes know everybody in there, and somehow I'm in the VIP, and there's a whole rap crew that I've never heard of, Mike, and they snapping, and the music is hard, and they got the whole club bouncing, and Mike, there are people that have it like that on every side of Atlanta. Now, they used to just be like Jeezy, and then T.I., and then Chains. You know what I'm saying? They would have it like that. It's like, no, they got it sectioned off and sectioned out now. And so I kind of just go looking for it that way. But that's because, according to hip hop, is based in Atlanta. And I know that the streets work like that with the music now. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how the other major stuff goes viral. I just know how the A works, because it's like, well, you need to know how your city works.
Well, at least online, when you talk about like the different challenges, like even Beyonce has a challenge out there now. And look, I'm gonna say this, and I know that y'all laughed at me when I said this and said I was gonna look like Max Kellerman on his Tom Brady prediction. But are y'all ready to apologize to me yet? That Beyonce record ain't connected. It's not.
I didn't even know where you were going, Mike.
It's not. I mean,
I'm not
when
even joking. I
Beyonce
forgot she even
knows,
released it.
when Beyonce has to rely on viral challenges or have celebrities dancing to her song to try to get a challenge started, we're in a different place. That's all I'm gonna say.
I forgot the album drop, Mike. I still haven't listened to it.
Look, man, wifey's a big Beyonce fan. She still ain't heard it.
Really?
Yeah.
She is the Beyonce demographic, Mike.
Exactly. Mad Max with the super chat says Drake, Cole, and Dot came out when I was in middle school, through high school. I'm outside by then, just had curfew. Yeah, I feel you. Mad Max also said,
no, I feel that.
Twitter breaks records now, Mike, or the internet. That's why a hit is hard to come by in today's. Yeah, because it doesn't last. Because it's hard to for something to last when you haven't even heard the whole song.
Mike, hits don't come out because the songs aren't that good.
36
At the end of the day, it goes to the quality not being there because people aren't working on their craft, and where it really affects the quality of the music is the most is the timelessness of the song. Like what hit records are now are timely. Yeah. Not timeless.
But they're designed to be that. 36 Chambers said what I said. He said TikTok is where hits happen. 15 seconds gets you on. But see, that's the thing, man. Like, after the 15, 30 seconds, and people actually hear the whole 3 minutes, you're tuned out because you only know this 15 seconds. And like you said, it affects the creative process when you in the studio with somebody and they're there to basically create 15 seconds.
Right. Like their whole point. Like, I'll never forget when Matt was like, no, Coop, he's like, they stand there the way that you just did, except for they mumble the whole way through it. Because, like remember when Jay-Z's like, is he insane? No, he's like Rain Man twitching where it's like you just mumble to yourself. He's like, no, they all do that now. Until they just come up with something that sounds dope enough to put on record. It don't even gotta. He literally told me, he said, "Coop, it don't even have to make sense anymore. It just needs to sound dope and fit the mood." He's like, "And you 20 deep niggas in the room, and they smoking, and they talking shit. Them boys is hyping them up, and before you know it, you got yourself an anthem."
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Mike, I hate to tell you, when you're 40 and up, you're out of the loop. Just ask the kids, because that TikTok stuff ain't real. It's real
our
to them.
platform really our platform
It's
really
real
has
to
been
them.
growing as we head into our 40s, Mike. I just don't know if that's true. I'm as in tune with what's going on in my city musically as I have been since I was active, which is literally skipping my entire 30s. So
Well, you know what? Listen, as a part of the music industry, I feel like I'm really in tune with the process, and I'm in tune with the technology side of things, or the technological side of things, and how things get placed. I mean, without saying too much, I talk to these record labels and all of that, and part of the initiatives are to go to these social media platforms. They have middleman platforms that get you into the algorithms. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
So that's part of a marketing strategy now, because that's where their demographic is.
right. And all jokes aside, Mike, I think this is why we work. It's like, well, you know, that analytical and data side that exists now with all these algorithms. I mean, Mike, but here's what I know. Like, do
Hip
you
hop's
remember
in the
when Love,
streets, and you're in the right place.
right, but do
Yeah.
you remember when Love dropped her album and that Tunchi record with Armani Caesar came out? And I was
Yeah.
like, Mike, I'm like, this shit fire. Like, here's what I mean about being in Atlanta. It's like, no, I put that shit to the test, Mike. It was Friday. It was nice outside. I let the windows all the way down on the whip. I let the sunroof back, Mike. I went all the way to the east side. And I back roaded from Candler Road to Gresham Road to Boulder Crest and took back roads all the way through the city and jumped on my side and hopped in the freeway in traffic and headed towards my side, Mike. And I played that record nonstop the whole time. In every part of town that I was on, Mike, when that shit was blasting, people looked at me and was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that? Like, and that's when I knew the shit was hard. The streets told me so, because when I was on Candler Road, niggas was looking at me like, what's that? When I was on boom. When I was in the city sitting up on Lowry, niggas was walking by like, what the fuck is that Coop playing? That's how I know. The streets ain't gonna lie to you when a record is fire.
No, you're right. And I think
Nah.
great music can't be denied. Like, no matter when it came out, you know what I'm saying? And no matter where it's being played. AK's The Curtain said that the music industry is oversaturated. And it is. I think it's a dichotomy where it's like, do you want it where there are gatekeepers out there that only allow a certain amount of people in? Or do you want it where it is oversaturated and everybody has a chance to connect with whatever they like? I don't mind it being oversaturated. I remember when the game was at a place where there were gatekeepers. And when there were gatekeepers, if you didn't make a record like this record over here, you weren't getting on. And at least people have the opportunity to be themselves. I think if things weren't so free flowing, we wouldn't have a show to be able to talk to you guys in the way that we're talking right now. And, Inspector Deck wouldn't have what he has going on with Czarface and things like that. So I guess you got to take the good with the bad. I like where music is right now. You know what I'm saying? But you got options, but you can't expect to see the real shit on TV though.
No, okay, so also too, and this is what I mean, I'm an in the streets guy. Like, even with my musical aesthetic, it's like, well, I don't hear Griselda on the radio. That's part of why we give them so much props.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, they haven't fit like that part of the format that you're talking about, Mike. Well, they don't fit into any of that at all. That's why I've championed them so much, because it's hard to exist in today's times and not exist in that format and get to the money and get to the notoriety and make the quality of music they've been making. But Mike, they're there because they've made the quality of